Hi, I'm N7 Strider, back with my second comic review of the day with Rocket Raccoon issue 1. Now, I do believe there's 4, Guardians of the Galaxy books out at the moment. There's the Guardians of the Galaxy prequel comics to the movie, there's the regular Guardians of the Galaxy comic, I believe, and there's Legendary Star-Lord, and now Rocket Raccoon has also got his standalone comic where he's not part of the team, just like Legendary Star-Lord is him away from the team as well. Now, I was thinking of maybe picking up Legendary Star-Lord, but when I saw this, look at the little guy. You can't say no to Rocket Raccoon. I think Rocket Raccoon's going to be the breakaway star of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which I'm super excited about. So just because I thought you guys would probably be excited about it as well, I thought I'd give this little beauty review. And just look at the artwork to begin with. That is fantastic. It's very pastel drawn. It just it sums up straight away just who Rocket is. Just if you don't love the little guy, I love Rocket Raccoon. Okay, I'm not gonna hide it. I love the little guy. So when I was thinking about reviewing Legendary Star-Lord, I was like, I can either review Legendary Star-Lord or Rocket Raccoon, and I went with Rocket Raccoon. The art all the way through it is very cartoony. It took me all the way back to 80s Saturday morning TV shows. Your laser guns go pew pew, your rockets go zoom, your robots go bleep bloop, and all that good stuff. It's great. It's got the cartoony vibe all the way through, and it keeps things fresh and funny because this is packed with humour. It had me actually laughing out loud at several points. It's extremely well written. There's even a couple of nods to Star Wars thrown in there. The entire thing is just bonkers. Of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy themselves do show up in a short cameo role, but this is Rocket Raccoon all the way through. It's very well written. The dialogue is just sharp and punchy and just funny. It actually had me laughing, which is something that not a lot of comic books do, especially the ones from the DC stable. The only comic from the DC stable that I read that actually has me laughing is Harley Quinn, but this from Marvel actually just had me laughing several times as I was reading it. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious, loved it. The little nods in there, there's even a little Hail Hydra joke. So Marvel are obviously aware of that meme that went around shortly after Captain America. So yeah, they're obviously aware of it. There's a reference in there in the artwork, just for those who are looking. The whole thing is just a crazy romp, and if you're looking for a good jumping on point, if you're new to comics and you like the idea of Guardians of the Galaxy, and you like talking rodents as much as I do, and you're looking for something funny, but it's still got action in it and doesn't take itself seriously at all, I would strongly recommend this. This is one of the best comics I have read this year so far. It blew me away, honestly. I didn't pick up on Guardians of the Galaxy comic book. I was thinking there's too much history there. I probably won't be able to catch up quick enough. And when I saw this, just as an issue 1 with the movie on the way, I'd forsook Legendary Star-Lord as much as I do love. As much as I do love Star-Lord, I went on to a separate train of thought there. As much as I love Star-Lord, I just love the furry little guy that little bit more. So I wasn't expecting much when reading it. Scott Young's art all the way through. Let me show you what I mean by the cartoony nature of it. Just right there. And let's just find another page. I'll find the wrestling match because it does feature Groot in it. It's kind of a bit, but look at that. Just Groot fighting big tentacle monster. It's crazy all the way through, and I love it. If you want something that's funny, got action in it, reminds you of Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s, still has its action in it, elements of humor. This is a great comic book just for new beginners. This was released last week at time of recording, so if you're new to comics and what I'm saying sounds good to you, then go and pick it up. And it's also a great introduction to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which is coming out next month, which I will be going to see on day one. I am that excited for it. Marvel are actually a bit scared about releasing Guardians of the Galaxy. They say the audience might not get it just because of what it is, which is one of the reasons why Britain is actually getting it a couple of days, or is it Europe, is getting it a couple of days before America, because they believe an English audience, a European audience, will probably get it that bit more than an American audience, and it will allow Britain and Europe to generate a bit of hype for the American audience. But you can guarantee that I will straight up review that as soon as I get back from watching it, because I'm just so excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. And after reading this, I wasn't actually going to intend to review it, but after I read it, I was like, yes, I'm going to have to review it, because this is such good work. And as I said, Scott Young's art all the way through is just an absolute delight to look at, especially when you're comparing it to DC, and there's sometimes bleak art. Not to say it's bad, but just with this being as colourful it is, and reminding me of Saturday morning kids cartoons, I highly recommend it. It's an absolute blast, and I hope the pace can continue throughout the series. So on to the spoiler section, where I talk about the story, which is crazy as all hell, but I'm just going to briefly skip over it. So the comic opens up with 3 years ago, and Rocket is rescuing a princess from an alien ship, which is one of the Star Wars references that I mentioned earlier. He rescues this Princess Amalia, I believe it's pronounced, who instantly falls in love with him because of the tail and gives him a huge kiss. And it cuts to now, of course, 3 years have passed, and Rocket's dating a new girl. He's one of those guys who just loves them and leaves them. He's a bit of an asshole like that, but he's lovable. He's just so lovable. You can't hate the guy. And he takes his new girl, to a wrestling match as his first date, apparently. And groups there fighting a tentacle monster, and it's just crazy. And the kiss cam comes over. If you live in America, you'd be familiar with the kiss cam. You show up on the camera on the big screen. You kiss the person who you're with in the audience. So Rocket gives her a big old kiss, but it also recognises him as a wanted murderer. Rocket runs away because he's wanted. He shouts back to the girl who was dating, "I'll call you." Just as he's running away, the police are giving up, in pursuit, and Rocket jumps into the ring because he needs help from his buddy Groot. But unfortunately, Groot is in no position to help because he's got smashed to bits by the tentacle monster, and he's reduced to a talking splinter, which just had me giggling, because you don't expect it. Just Groot just get taken out like that. So Rocket runs away yet again, and he calls the Guardians up for help, and the Guardians are just having a crazy adventure. The whole conversation it cuts back to them, but there's when it cuts back to the Guardians and their cameo in this book, there's ships going pew pew, there's a crash landing, and they're running away from a 6-legged horned pink monster. So it's just you kind of want to know what's going on there, but you also want to follow on with Rocket, because the entire thing is crazy. During his conversation with Star-Lord, it transpires that Rocket is wanted for murder. This scene is actually quite funny, because Rocket's just how can I be wanted for murder? And he's drowning a guy in they're running through the sewers. He's drowning a guy in the sewer water, and Star-Lord's just you're murdering a guy right now, aren't you? He's no. So he's wanted for murder, but the footage that that Star-Lord sends to Rocket while they're talking about him being wanted for murder, it's of his evil twin. Yes, Rocket has an evil twin, despite him being the last of his kind. And that is one of his chat-up lines with women, that I'm the last of my kind, baby. That sort of thing. It's just his evil twin is dressed as a Jawa as well. So it's just he's complete crazy, and his evil twin's been murdering people up and down the galaxy, which is why Rocket's wanted. They believe Rocket is actually his evil twin. So Rocket gets a plan after speaking to Star-Lord. He's just do me a favour and just get a good lawyer. And he turns himself in, and they cuff him, and they start leading him away. And it actually shows that his evil twin, Rocket's evil twin, is in the crowd, still dressed as a Jawa, and he appears to sneak onto the ship where Rocket has been taken into custody. Also, the girl who Rocket was dating at the wrestling match, we find out her name. Her name's Kaliko, and it turns out she's been working for Princess Amalia, who is now General Amalia, who is she was like a spy for General Amalia. General Amalia is heading this small organisation which consists of all of Rocket's ex-girlfriends, which I just thought was brilliant. They've all got together just to take Rocket down. They're gonna straight up murder him. Judging from what I was told when I was talking to a friend about the differences between the Legendary Star-Lord comic and the Rocket Raccoon comic, I am so glad I picked this one up, because I think I wouldn't have enjoyed the Legendary Star-Lord one, which is on an issue 1 if you want to pick that up. If you're interested in Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm sure it's a damn good read. He said it was good, but I think I would have enjoyed, comparing the two storylines, the Rocket Raccoon one, and I am so glad I picked this up. So it does get a solid recommendation from me, especially if you're new to comics and if you've got a bit of an interesting Guardians of the Galaxy movie coming out, because this tells you what is going to probably be the breakaway star of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I'm predicting we're going to see like Rocket Raccoon plushies all over the place come Christmas time, with the merchandising off the back of the movie. So I'm super excited for the movie, and if you're interested in reading comics and you want something light-hearted, fun, then pick this up. It was just released last week, and for a couple of dollars, couple of pounds, you'd be trying it out, and if you like the style that's going on here, you're probably going to enjoy the series. I'm going to keep reviewing it, because after reading the first one, I just couldn't believe how strong the first issue was. It didn't really have to do anything in terms of introducing the Guardians. It's just like, that's a thing that Rocket is a part of, and it introduced Rocket just like, well, yeah, he's a raccoon, deal with it with guns. Just like within the first 2 pages, he blows 2 guys up into little giblets. That's who Rocket the raccoon is. There's no swearing in it or anything. I think this is rated. Yeah, it is rated teen, but there's no swearing. They do bleep everything out just whenever he does swear. It's a great read, so it does get a very solid recommendation from me. I'm an N7 Strider, and I should go.